We've always had something to say about how software is built and consumed. But so many of those same principles apply to management that I've realized we really have something valuable to say more broadly, or a contribution to how we think about how to manage any company in the 21st century.
We live in a world now where people demand a purpose at work. They demand a clear mission of why they're there. People don't tend to just work for a paycheck anymore. They want to make a true difference.
We have a purpose, we have a soul. People want to be at Red Hat because Red Hat is mission-based. Open source is at our core and it's something that we all deeply believe in.
I think the one thing that blew me away right from the start was this sort of passion that people have. As soon as I walked in the first building, I mean, you saw that people cared about what they did, and when they talked about open source, it like comes through their skin. So that was something I learned right off the bat, and it was really interesting to me about why people are involved in this organization and what they are hoping to do, that it really is about changing the world.
Newer organization models, what we're calling the open organization, are much more based on coordination, aligning actions of people, but rather than proscribing who gets to make the decision, you let that be a bit ambiguous. You let the organization itself figure that out. You work to align people to have the context and the capabilities to ultimately make decisions, and then you let that organization kind of drive forward to actually solve that problem.
The open organization is about management in practice, not just management in theory. And it's real people telling real stories.
We've really worked hard to bring in the perspectives of people who live it and are here every day.
There were times when Darren was like, man, you guys are really bringing everyone into the fold and getting their opinions on this book. But what's funny is not only would we get their opinions, we would take the feedback and we would incorporate it.
So as the drafts were kind of coming together, there were a number of places where I had put a comment in, and I was kind of like, it's just a comment, you know, it's just kind of my perspective on what it said. And then I get the next draft and I'm like, oh, they actually like took it and it's in the draft now.
For me, it was very reaffirming that we wrote the book in the Red Hat way, using the principles that we describe in the open organization.
A great example of that is how we actually came up with the book cover. We went to our creative team and just said, come up with a bunch of different ideas. In the end, the cover was not designed by any one person.
It's going to be exciting and surreal to see this out in the world and know that I had a hand in helping create it.
In a lot of ways, this book is literally a part of the Red Hat culture because of how many people were involved in it. Right from the start all the way through. This was not just a Jim project. He wouldn't have ever wanted it to be that way.
The open organization is an environment that is centered on participation.
Meritocracy, openness, transparency, and collaboration. All of our leaders truly believe that the best idea can come from anywhere.
Everyone says meritocracy, letting the best ideas win. To me, the open organization really is that.
In an open organization, it doesn't matter that I'm an EVP at Red Hat. It really doesn't. So I have no better ideas than anybody else around the organization.
Rather than the CEO kind of being at the top of the hierarchy, the CEO is much more of a catalyst to get an organization both aligned and capable and enabled to ultimately act on its own.
When Jim talks to anybody, he genuinely believes they have something important to say. And there's an idea, and he listens, and he doesn't forget.
You know, people like Thomas Cameron, he had a number of really great comments that ultimately are in the book, because when he talks, I know he's got something interesting to say, he's got a thoughtful perspective, and so when people like that talk, I listen.
I was a little bit surprised that Jim remembered that I had said those things, because you see a lot of CEOs who work from isolation or work from their small council of experts. And I thought it was really refreshing to see a fairly big company have a CEO who really did value the input of a lot of individuals.
I think of Jim as very down to earth, grounded. He's very authentic. He's very honest. And I think what's nice is him being that way at Red Hat sort of creates that environment where you want to be authentic.
Jim uniquely has a voice and a way of communicating that resonates with people. He's very authentic in his tone. He tells stories as they are. He says the good, he says the bad. He doesn't hide anything.
I thought it was really refreshing to read in Jim's tone and to have him talking about the pitfalls and to have him talking about some of the challenges and, you know, his story of when he first came here and he gave instructions to somebody and a couple of days later they said, oh no, we decided that was a bad idea and we didn't do it. But that's just kind of the way that Red Hat is. It was fascinating to see somebody coming from a culture other than Red Hat and how shocking it must be.
I wish I had some crazy story to share with you, but I guess the crazy story is that, to me, in my view, Jim really transcends what kind of the concept of the old school CEO is. Instead, he is very open, he's humble, he's collaborative, he genuinely wants to know people's ideas and really lives that meritocracy that we talk about at Red Hat.
This book is my and Red Hat's contribution to the future of management. I mean, to some extent, this is how we have approached the exact same problems that managers and leaders are facing at any 21st century organization now. And this is our contribution to how we've solved those problems.
I do work at the Open organization. It's a crazy, great place to be.
Really, it's passionate people. You can just see it, that excited about what we're doing, excited about the impact that we can have on the world, and it's infectious. And I talk about it in the book, the importance of purpose and passion in really kind of igniting performance in a company. My wife will be thrilled.